Hello, friends. Welcome back to r/ProRevenge. In the first story, our OP, with the help of his neighbors, got justice. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Being stuck in my own house isn't an emergency? I'll make an emergency. So I'm a Tennessee boy who moved to Fargo, North Dakota about a year ago. Needless to say, these winters have brought a whole lot of new experiences for me. So far, there's been about 4 feet of snow this winter. It stays cold enough here that it doesn't melt. Luckily, my property management group takes care of the plowing, or so they said. I live on an end unit where they pile the snow they plow from the roads. This is frustrating because it blocks the route I take to get to my yard. My pup and I have difficulty getting to the yard, but I've carved steps into the snow to make it easier. I have a 15-foot pile on the right side of my townhome, and to the left side I have my neighbor's driveway. Last night there was a wind blizzard. It wasn't snowing, but the wind blew around a bunch of snow which piled up right in front of my garage, since all the snow blew right up against the aforementioned snow pile. I have a Jeep Wrangler, and it had no chance of making it over the pile in front of my garage. I wait until 7:30 to see that the plows haven't come. It's Sunday, so I was in the house for the day anyways. Now I'm concerned they won't come since only end units were really affected by the blizzard. I called the property management group after business hours to inform them of the predicament. I told them that I can't get out and I need to get to work tomorrow and that I'd like to get groceries tonight. They said they don't consider this an emergency. I held my breath and counted to 5 before I responded with, "How is this not an emergency? I can't get groceries or get to work. I need to work so I can pay rent." I feel like this is a win for both of us. She responds with a Karen-like tone with, "Well, your lease doesn't declare that as an emergency, and we're not sending plows tonight. I'm sorry." I realize there's nothing else to say. I respond with, "Okay then." Again with the Karen tone, "Thank you, bye." This is where the revenge starts. My significant other and I decide to shovel the driveway ourselves. Just my vehicle's side, since she has the day off tomorrow. We shovel outside where the wind chill is -30 for an hour and a half. Since I can't toss snow 15 feet into the air on top of a snow pile, it'd be very rude to throw it in my neighbor's driveway, so I decide to throw all of it on the road. I almost quit a couple times, but through revenge-inspired determination, we finished. Once we'd been shoveling for about 30 minutes, we noticed the other neighbors on other end units started following suit and throwing their snow on the road. Now the whole neighborhood has about 5 massive snow piles in the street that no normal vehicle will make it over. I figure my SO and I have burned enough calories to get a frozen hot chocolate from DQ. I take the Jeep out for a 30-minute round trip. As I'm sipping my delicious frozen beverage and seeing my garage door open, I see there's a plow picking up the snow from the roads in everyone's driveway. For some reason, the sound of plows picking up all the snow made my frozen hot chocolate the best one I ever had. And our second story. Dad treats me like the least important person in the office. My dad's a CPA. He was exempted from serving in Vietnam for medical reasons, rare bone disease, and has zero sympathy for Vietnam vets who haven't gotten their crap together already. He thinks mental illnesses, including PTSD, are made-up ways for doctors to give you drugs, and anyone who succumbs is weak. For example, I have bipolar, and anyone who knows anything about it knows that I should take my meds as prescribed for the rest of my life. To him, that means I chose drugs, am no better than a heroin addict, and deserve no respect. His office and mind are absolutely chaotic. Things are lost, shuffled under stuff. "Where's that file?" was one of the most common questions asked by staff. Dad would have the whole office stop to look for an important file for a coworker who swears she gave it to him, but he has no recollection of that happening. Guess where I find the file? On his desk, over by his adding machine, under a mountain of church charity brochures he'd just ordered. His email? Wow. If I told you he at any given time had over 3,000 unread emails, would that surprise you? Most of them were spam or 100 days of prayer stuff, but there were important emails going unchecked, especially anything I sent him, because nothing about me was important enough to even warrant a glance. The worst part of him making me feel useless was the fact that I was the only one who would notice something like, "We're running out of stationery," and try to order some, only to be told to wait and have to bring it up multiple times until we're down to our last 2 pieces and the cheapskate is photocopying our stationery because no one will notice or care. From office supplies to maintaining our ability to e-file to arranging everyone's continuing education for the year, always done December 28th to the 30th in a panic, calling vendors to keep our equipment running, cranking out tax returns he should have done already while the clients wait in the lobby to pick it up, I was never fast enough, to consoling or counseling coworkers on how to approach him regarding X, new software installation. Yes, there are people in their 20s through 40s who don't know how to install a disk or open a file and click run. I was running myself ragged for the good of his company, but anything I had to say was immediately disregarded. One thing he was a stickler about, saving copies of everything. For example, in 2009, the IRS demanded a copy of a customer's certain payroll tax form they claimed not to have received from 1996. We hadn't even prepared the damn thing, but we had a copy. The paper got to be too much, and the filing cabinets in the attic were creating cracks in the ceiling. We went paperless, and our extremely competent IT guy set us up 3 backup systems. Since we by then had 2 offices, he had 2 1-terabyte hard drives that every 2 seconds exchanged data, so if a tornado blew away a whole building, we'd still have everything from both buildings in the other building. Another backup was kept in the cloud, and another on a server in a state across the country. On January 5th one year, I got an email from our IT guy who'd CC'd Dad but knew to include me that our 1-terabyte backups had enough space to last maybe 2 days and that he could upgrade us in time to prevent disaster. I called over to Dad, our offices were adjacent, and our voices carry, that IT guy sent a really important email. Dad replies, in a way that tells me he's not paying a bit of attention to what I was saying. So I forwarded my email to him and changed the subject to urgent, important, pending disaster and gave him no further reminders after that. Not my job, I was supposed to shut up, remember? So he didn't read either email, even with my subject line. My email didn't strike him as one he should read. On January 8th, crap hit the fan. We lost everything. Our IT guy dropped everything and got everything up to December 27th from the cloud backup. The server in the other state said it would cost a $7,000 rush fee and 3 weeks to fully restore everything the way it was. Well, W-2s and numerous payroll reports, sales tax filings, and other government deadlines occur in January, so we didn't have 3 weeks. My coworkers had to redo or reconstruct everything they'd done from December 27th to January 8th, which was a lot. Anything we'd completed, scanned, and shredded was gone. A major audit was underway and several crucial spreadsheets had disappeared. The worker that had prepared them did so on his last 2 days before moving to another firm December 26th and 27th. All in all, our IT guy was paid about $12,000 to spend 3 14 to 16-hour days, one was his Sabbath, rescuing all he could. Over $10,000 in overtime pay, and we still had missing stuff. This was concerning to clients affected because to them, data loss equals data breach. Nobody would ever hack into our system because our IT guy would consider it a personal failure if we were successfully hacked. Our data was safe from everyone but Dad. Dad never suspected me of anything. Had I pointed out that I had reminded him only once, since he thought I should only have to be told something once, he would have berated me for sabotaging the firm. While he wouldn't listen to me, it was my job to make sure he did. Don't think so. And our next story. Fishing illegally right off my back deck? Meet the big dog. Years ago, I used to live in a development that didn't start off well, so there were very few residents. In fact, the house I was in used to belong to the guy that started the development and ran off with the money. Anyway, the house was at the end of a good-sized man-made lake that had been stocked with fish. Since it was a private development and private lake, only residents were allowed to fish there. Personally, I didn't care, as I didn't fish, but some people decided to fish 20 feet off the back deck right in view of my dog's kennel, and she'd bark. She was a big dog, a Great Pyrenees mix, about 120 pounds, and super friendly, but she had a loud bark. Usually, after a few minutes of barking, people would get the hint and row away. Every now and then, someone wouldn't, and would just turn on their radio to drown out the dog. At that point, I'd go out and tell them, this is a private lake, fishing is for residents only, and more often than not, they'd just move along. Not this guy. He looks up grumpily, flips me off, and turns the music up louder. Cue the revenge. I walked over to my dog's kennel, opened the gate, and said, "Go get him, mija, he has cookies." And she ran across the yard and jumped into the lake, swimming towards Mr. Grumpy, scaring all the fish, and then trying to climb in the boat because he had cookies. Mr. Grumpy started to panic because a 120-pound Great Pyrenees was trying to get in his boat, so he immediately yelled, "F you, a-hole," and started rowing away. I let Mija follow him for another minute, then called her back. I tied her in the backyard and got her a hamburger. Good girl. When should you pick apples? John. In August. Mobs. In September. Richard. When the dog's tied up. And our last story. They parked in my spot that I pay for, so I blocked them in all day. In my complex, we have specifically assigned spots that you have to pay for. This person, I guess, doesn't want to pay for a spot, so they park on the street all the time. It's doable, but a huge pain in the butt since you can't leave it overnight without a notice from management. The first time they did this, I confronted them as I happened to catch them as they were getting out of their car. They claimed they lived in the townhouse right next to my spot, but that someone had parked there, so they parked in my spot. That would have made sense to me if I had ever seen their car park in that spot before, and that the car that was there wasn't there all the time anyway. Also, the owner of the car was screaming at me while their friend was the calm one. I was fed up because other strangers had parked in my spot before, making me have to park out on the street. For context, yes, we do have garage doors as it's an underground parking, but management has never gotten them operational for some reason. So this same person eventually parked in my spot once again, and I was done. Normally, I'd just call security and they'd come to threaten to tow the car, but because it's COVID, they're not sending out people unless it's a serious situation. So I happily parked my car right behind theirs. Luckily, I own a tiny car, so it's small enough to effectively double park, but still leave even big SUVs room to get by in the underground parking. I left a note on my car saying, "Note to management/security, car with license XXX parked in my spot. I'll be out of town until tomorrow. If any problems, call me with the number on file." Of course, I wasn't out of town at all. Then I came back, went out for a day to give them time to get their car, and I've never seen it parked in my spot since, only in the street. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.